children home safely from school, now sentenced to 30 years in prison for sexually assaulting a 6-year-old Austin ISD student. A jury convicted Leon Young of aggravated sexual assault of a child and indecency with a child by contact. KXAN investigator Brittany Glass was in the courtroom today. And Brittany, first tell us about this case.
Well, Robert, this case dates back 3 years, back in 2015. Leon Young now found guilty of touching a student at Walnut Creek Elementary, a student actually on the bus in his seat. Now, the girl told police back then that Young hugged her and gave her candy before assaulting her in the driver's seat. The assistant principal was actually also charged after police say he failed to report the inappropriate touching that he himself witnessed.
And Brittany, I know you spoke with the family today about the verdict. What did they say about it?
Well, it has been a very long week for the family, Robert, a really long 3 years, actually. It's the victim actually was called to testify in this trial. She was not here today because, understandably, she's been through so much this week. But for them, it's just about trying to make sure that she can get through this. Her life has been so affected by this situation. And obviously, they were pleased with the guilty verdict. But again, they're just focused on trying to make sure that this little girl is okay, because she's going to be impacted for the rest of her life.
And what are you working on for our 5 o'clock news?
Well, coming up at 5, expect an in-depth look at ultimately how the jury came to this sentencing decision, hear from both the prosecution and the defense. Now, you have to remember that Leon Young is in his 60s. He did not have a criminal history prior to this event back in 2015. So the jury had a lot to consider. That, his whole history, on top of the fact that these charges are very, very serious. No one wants to hear about something like this happening in our community. Really convicted by a bus driver, so they had a lot of things to consider.
KXAN's Brittany Glass reporting from downtown Austin. Thanks. And we wanted to know the steps the AISD is taking to monitor bus drivers now. A spokesperson telling KXAN there is a system that constantly monitors a driver's criminal record. There's also random drug testing every 3 weeks. All bus drivers in the district are trained to understand what kind of touching is appropriate and what is not.